Hey everybody, this is Connie with the Artisan Company. Welcome back to the channel. Oh my, it is January as we all know. Well, it was January. Today's February 1st, but I just had a birthday. And so happy birthday to all the January people. Anyway, last year, if you remember, my friend Carl gave me this killer symbol for my birthday. I've got to show y'all what my husband bought for me for my birthday. I am just so stoked. Look at this. It is a hand pan drum. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Is this not amazing? It has notes on it. See all the little notes right there? Yeah. So it's played just with the tips of your fingers. I heard one of these being played and I was so mesmerized by it. And I thought, man, it'd be really cool to have one of those. Well, he surprised me. So I got to show you what it sounds like for those of you who don't know what this is. For those of you who do, you can probably play it like crazy. I'm just now learning. But anyway, this is supposed to sit in your lap, but I'm not sitting down. So I'm going to only hit two or three of the notes. But listen to this sound. There's some there's some higher notes on this side. Oh my gosh. Ah, is that just not killer? Oh my gosh. Anyway, so I think this one's a what they call D flat curd, KURD, is the key that it's made in. But I've got some work to do to learn how to play it. But anyway, it's kind of a boho kind of instrument, and I just love that. Speaking of boho, let's go to the desk and see what's on the desk that we can make that has that boho feel. So let's go. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Okay, remember we were talking about we're going to do a little boho look project today. So we're going to do the most easiest pair of feather earrings you will ever do in your whole life. No kidding. Okay. We're going to do a little more complicated feather earrings as I'm going, but this is probably going to be the easiest you will ever do. And some of the things that I'm going to do today, you don't even have to do. So here we go. This is what we got to have. Obviously, two feathers here that are left and right. So when I hold them up like this, they are left and right. So you can see them on the thing. Okay, you want to make sure they're matching and going towards each other and not like that. So like that. And these are dove feathers. I picked these up outside under my bird feeder. You can purchase feathers as well, but I have done that, and we will do a project pretty soon with store-bought feathers. But these were under my bird feeder, and I picked these up, and I thought, oh my, this will be just such fun and delicate earrings. These are about 3 inches long, and that includes the shaft part up here. So from tip to tip, they're about 3 inches long. So you'll need two feathers of any kind, it doesn't matter. You will need two um, leather crimps. And these little guys are about, and I'm not counting the hook on the top right here, I'm just counting the body part of it here. And they are about a 5 millimeter by 4 millimeter. 5 millimeter this way by 4 this way, and that's not counting the little hook. Okay, so you'll need a couple of these in any color. This one happens to be copper because I'm going to be using some copper paint. But anyway, you'll need two of those. You'll need two ear wires of any kind. You'll need either a little paintbrush this is a 10.0 or 10/0. It is absolutely I mean, itty bitty. You need something with about 3 hairs on it. But this was the one I had the least of, and it's a little skinny brush. So you'll need something either like that, or you're going to need a little tiny sewing pin. And this little head on this pin, you can see, is itty bitty. I don't know if you can see it on my finger or not, but it is tiny. I mean, itty bitty, maybe a 1 millimeter across at best. So it's tiny. So you'll need one of these. You'll need another sewing pin with a bigger head on it. And this one's probably a 3 millimeter head on this one. So something you can make dots with. Then you will need, this is very critical, a cuticle trimmer. Believe it or not, you're going to need a cuticle trimmer or some kind of tool that is very precise in cutting like this in small spaces. If you have a tool that cuts in small spaces, great. But you'll need something like this. And I have used a cuticle cutter, a trimmer from as long as I can remember because it is fantastic with working with feathers. All right, you'll need a couple of tools to close up your leather crimp with, something to test your patterns on. This is just a little post-it note I've got to test my patterns on, and we'll do that. And if you're going to paint, just whatever paint colors you want. I've got a black here. I've got a copper, which I am going to be using, the copper. I've got a turquoise, and I've got a white, and I've also got a medium sky blue. I'm not going to use all these colors on the earring. I've already decided which one I'm going to do. But anyway, you can use one color or multiple colors. It does not matter. That is your choice. Okay, so this is where we are headed. I'm going to show you. I did one earlier. And look at this little guy. Oh my goodness, look how delicate, but how beautiful. Oh my, look at that. These are earrings like you will not find in the stores. So you want to make sure that you um, put your personality into it and make it your own. So let's get started. One more thing, you'll need some paper towels or something to do your work on. I forgot to tell you that. Okay, so here we go. What we're going to do first is if you haven't washed your feathers and you're picking them up outside, you're going to want to wash them. And I did a video on that several months ago on how to paint feathers, and I talked about cleaning in that video. So you may want to go back and look at that as a reference. But I use Dawn dishwashing liquid, and it doesn't take but a drop to suds up the water in your bowl. Take your feather, gently dip it in there, swish it just a little like that, then run it under some cool water or just warm water, not anything hot. Run it with the water going with the shaft of the feather. You don't want to turn it up and run water down this way. You want to run it this way down to the tip of the feather. And then as you finish, get the soap out, barely with your fingertips, just barely run it down the shaft of that feather because you don't want to ruffle up the edges too much. Lay it down on a paper towel to dry. You can use an extremely light blowing blow dryer, and if you do that, hold it away from the blow dryer and blow it like this, moving like this, and then turn the feather and blow and turn the feather and blow. But you don't want it right on top of it or you'll mess with your the way the little feather things are going. Okay, next. Okay, the next thing is determining if you're going to paint, determining what pattern you're going to do and what colors you're going to do. So what I did with the other one was I painted the shaft of the feather from the top up here, almost all the way to the top, not quite, all the way down to the tip. is what I did. I started at the top and just gently went down the shaft of the feather. Now I made my line a little wider, so not only did I do the shaft of the feather, I did the inside of the feather. I'm sorry, I did the outside of the feather going down of the shaft right there on the outside. I also did that one too, all the way down. I'm going to do that in copper. These are acrylic paints, no big deal. I'm going to do this one in copper. You don't have to paint anything at all if you don't want to. Let's say you have a feather that is unbelievably beautiful in color and design, and dove feathers are kind of soft and gray and feathery looking, so I'm going to add a little color to this. But if you have a feather that's just unbelievably beautiful and you don't want to put any paint on it, then don't. Okay, it's your choice. But I'm going to dress this one up just a little bit. So here we go. Okay, so we're going to play a little bit with our our little pins, our little sewing pins, so that we can kind of see what works best with us. And we'll also play with the paintbrush to see what works best. So with this one, I'm going to take my little pin. I'm going to barely dip the tip of it into the paint. You can see it's just barely on there. Then I'm going to take my Post-it note and I'm going to just tap it like that and see how big of a circle it makes. And this one's a perfect little circle, but I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than that. So I'm going to tap it and then just barely smooth it around like that. And there you go. There's your perfect circle. So I like that. Then, since I'm going to be doing the shaft in copper, I'm taking my little bitty pen. I'm going to experiment with this first. I'm dipping it in the color that I'm going to be running down the shaft. And then I'm just going to do this on the Post-it note to see what kind of line it makes and how long, how far I can paint without losing the line. And it's just an experiment. You just take your time. Do not get in a hurry. Okay, that's what the little tiny head pin looks like. Now let's look at a paint brush and let's see what it does. And whatever is easiest for you is what you do, but experiment on a little Post-it note to see which one you like the best. Now, with a paintbrush, I will tell you, the hardest part is to get the same amount of pressure on it as you're going down. To get that line the same, okay? Got to have the same amount of pressure. All right, for me personally, I'm going to use the little sewing pin because I can control it. For me personally, I can control it a little better. All right, so let's get started. Now, if you're going to paint the shaft, what you're going to do is start at the top. Not all the way, because you got to be able to hold on to the feather, but about above the part, sorry, where the feather starts. You want to start about right there and paint straight down. And let me get my eyeballs going here. All right. And this is a little tedious, but if you just take your time, you'll be able to do it just fine. And I'm just barely touching that shaft, just barely. Because the shaft is going to get smaller as you go down, so it's going to make it a little more difficult to get it on there straight and even. But use less paint as you're going down. Because if you get too much paint on there, it's going to blob. But just use less paint as you're going down. Just take your time. Y'all, it is like almost 70 degrees out here where we are in Kentucky. And I'm telling you what's the truth. I went out and raked leaves today and worked in the yard, and now I'm in here doing this with you guys. And oh my, what a beautiful, beautiful day. Okay, so now what I am doing is I am widening my line. So I'm decided to go on this side of the shaft of the feather. You can go on either side. I think I told you the other side earlier, but you can do either side. And sometimes your paint will merit which way you go if you make a mistake. It's like, hey, I want to go on this side. So we're going to do this side. Since my little dots of paint say, hey. But don't get frustrated with this. It just takes time, okay? I've been doing this a long time, and I'm sure some of you guys that are actual painters out there could probably do this with your eyes closed. Um, but for those who don't work in paint all the time, and definitely don't work with feathers all the time, just take your time. Don't get in a hurry. This is one of those things that patience is a virtue with. All right, so I'm going to go back and make sure that I got all the color on there that I want. And let's see here. I think that looks pretty good. Now you can practice doing this if you would like. You can go to any craft store or go on Amazon and look for craft feathers, and that that you can get a bag of them pretty inexpensively, and just practice with this. All right, so there's the line. Don't know if you can see it or not, but there's my first line. I'm going to set that to the side and let it dry while I'm working on the other one. And you work on yours, and we'll get back together. I am going to show you here my finished product with the shaft, and it kind of it's not exactly a straight line, as you can see. What I did was I took the tip of the pin as I was going down and kind of feathered it out a little bit. I thought it would give it a little more interest, but a straight line is perfectly okay, so don't worry about that. I just wanted to show you what I did and why I did it and how I did it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some color on the tips of these feathers. So let me lay them down the way I'm going to be looking at them to wear them. And I think I'm going to use the blue color, the kind of that one. That's the color I'm going to use. Let me move this over here. All right, I'm going to use initially my big head pin. Oops, I lost my little pin. Where did he go? Oh, here he is. Sorry. Sorry, guys. I'm going to use the big head pin here, the one that's got about the 2 millimeter head on it, right there, 2 or 3 millimeter head. And I'm going to go down here to the bottom. I'm going to hold the feather I'm working on, put my finger on the shaft up there, and make sure that these are completely dry before you go to this next step. Otherwise, you may have bleeding color, and we don't want that. Okay, so I'm going to use the blue. I'm going to take the tip, just barely touch it in the paint. Going to come down here, and this is a design decision. You can put that dot anywhere you want to, but I am going to put it on the side right there, and it needs a little more reinforcing. And there it is. Then I take the other feather, I lay them down next to each other to make sure that I'm not what's the word I'm trying to say, that they're even. So I'm putting the paint in the right place. holding that one down with my finger right there, dipping the paint, coming down here in approximately the same spot on the other one. I'm going to dip just a little more. Wow, how beautiful is that? All right, so I've got 2 dots there. I'm going to dip this and do another dot on each side, about, I would say, quarter of an inch up from each other. Kind of like that. And always use the visual of each feather to make sure you're not they're not uneven. Okay, so I've got 3. All right, I'm going to do one more. I'm going to wipe the excess off so I can start over and it'll be fresh. I'm going to do 3 up the side here. And I'm doing the outside edge of the feather. Now make sure that you're putting them in the same spot on each feather. Oops, that one didn't want to make a perfectly round circle, but you know what? There we go. I got it. Okay. All right, so I've got 3. I'm wiping the excess off. I'm going to let this dry before I go to the next stage. All righty, let me show you where I'm at here. You can see the dots. I'm turning them there. There we go. Okay, hopefully you can see that really well. So here we go. That's where I've done 3 dots on the outside. You can do yours anywhere you would like. You don't have to do dots at all. It does not matter. These are just simple design choices that I have made. Okay. So the next part is putting on the top. Mine are almost dry, but not quite, but make sure yours are totally dry before you go to the next step. Okay, so take your little leather crimp, and the next thing you're going to be doing is putting the leather crimp on the top of the feather up here. Now, the mistake that most people make is they put that leather crimp right here on the tip of the shaft down here. Don't do that. You're going to clip the majority of the shaft off. You want to put your leather crimp down here where the feathers start, down here. And that's a determination made according to how your feathers are. Okay, so I'm looking at this and I can see, maybe hopefully Ken can zoom in on that. Let me move this paint over here so I don't drop anything in it. But if you can see this, I don't know, but you have feathers out here on this side and feathers out here on this side that are really thick on the outside, but on the inside of the shaft, it is not. They don't start getting thicker until they're about almost an inch down from the top of the shaft of the feather. Right in here is where they start getting thicker. So that is where you're going to want to put your leather crimp. Okay, so let me set this one aside. I'm going to pick up my crimp, and you're going to place the crimp on top of the shaft very gently. See if I can turn it where you can see it. This is a difficult thing to film. Okay, so it looks like that. And the open part of it is on the back, as you can see right there. On the back, here's the open. Now you've got some excess feathers hanging out right here. That's okay. Just kind of use your finger and just kind of push it down inside the crimp. You're going to turn it. Make sure that it is centered up. Flip it over again. And it's not like you have to kind of hold the shaft of the feather as well as the crimp, because you don't want it to be on there crooked. That makes sense. Now it does have a natural bend. The feather has a natural bend. And we're going to let it do that. Okay, so I've got it on there now. Turn it just a little. Going to take my tool and push down one side. Don't turn on me, baby. I'm going to push down the other side. Flatten it. I'm going to flatten it with this tool so that I don't mess up the thing. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the cuticle clippers. I knew I'd think of it in a minute. And you're going to slide it right under the back of that. Hold on to the bottom because the feather is fragile. So you want to make sure you're holding on to the bottom of the crimp so that the feather doesn't bend. And then slide that right up under there if you can. If not, clip it from this side. There we go. Cool. All right, so we've got it crimped off there. There's one. My little crimp got a little sideways on me, and it's really difficult. This is the difficult part to me. The painting, it just takes practice. The crimping is the most difficult part because your feather has a bend and your crimp wants to follow a different pattern than what your feather is doing. And so it just takes a little practice. And even I, after all these years, sometimes do it backwards. Okay, so I'm laying my feather down here. I'm trying to make sure that my crimp is at the right place on the other feather. You move it up just a hair. All right, that's about right. Okay, I'm going to turn it over. Try to turn it where I can hold it and show you guys too. And there's a little bit of feather sticking out. I'm just pushing it back in. Gonna fold that crimp over. Fold the other side over. Mash it with my tool gently. All right, it's on there. Then we're gonna go back here with the cuticle clippers and just clip off that top. And I'm holding it down here so this doesn't bend, the shaft doesn't bend, because that little guy, it can be stiff in there. All right. Now that one went on perfectly. The other one, not so much, but it is on there. If it gets twisted, just hold the bottom of the shaft, take a plier and just gently turn, and it might turn for you, but it may not. Anyway around. This one turned. Okay. There I go. I got it back where it should be. All right. So now it should look like this. Got your two ends on there. All right, next thing, put on the ear wires. Okay, we're at the tail end. So what we're going to do now is put on our ear wires. So I'm just going to I chose copper, obviously. That's just, open your ear wire up on the back side. It doesn't take much. Slide the top of the leather crimp. Golly, I need some coffee, y'all. And you can buy me a coffee if you would like. That would really make me feel good. All right, so let me open this one. And that the other thing too is make sure when you slide on your feather that it's going the right way. Don't put him on backwards. You'll have to take him off. All right, I think I got it closed there. Turn in. Okay. Get my eyeballs down here and look at him real good. Wow, beautiful. Oh my goodness. Look at this, guys. Your project is done. Oh my. Look at these beautiful, beautiful earrings. And these are from dove feathers in my backyard. I'm so excited about this. I cannot stand it. I love this. These may be a gift for somebody that I'm just getting to know. And it's a couple that my husband and I met, and they're just amazing people. And I'm thinking, she needs a really unique gift. Okay. So let me lay these down so you can see them. Oh, oh, oh my. I got him back on. All right. When I closed up my ear wires, I didn't do it with my magnifying glass, so I didn't get it quite close. So, anyway, but here we go. Hope you can see these. I'm going to lay them down here as gingerly as possible. I'll put it on the white. Maybe you can see it a little better. Oh my goodness, these are gorgeous. I mean, gorgeous. This is not your typical feather out of the store. This is a unique, unique thing that only you can do by hand. Now, you don't have to do any of this. Like I said, you don't have to paint anything. You can just take the leather crimp and crimp it on the top of a feather, and you have an earring once you add an ear wire on there. But unless the feather is just dynamic, why would you want to do that? You want to put your signature on it. So, anyway, love these. Oh my goodness, I love these. So today, here's our little beginning boho project in feather earrings. More feather earrings to come that are a little more hefty, I would say. But if you got any inspiration, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. It really does help my channel. And I'm hoping that you're getting some ideas to make your own. I will see you guys on the next project. Bye.